These motherfuckers got scraps too, don't get caught lacking. Y'all seen these old cowboy movies? You go to the bar, nigga, you about to get tried. You go out in the bar, you got there drinking with your brothers and that shit, then you about to get tried out here, but don't be caught lacking. Don't kill your brother off some bullshit, man. Don't hurt your people, man. This is for protection only, man. I got family out this bitch, man. I got brothers out this bitch. I got to protect. Somebody trying to run up on us. We lacking. What we gonna do? Fight him? Fight a nigga with a machine gun? Now we're gonna bust your ass. We'll cut your head out and bring it back to the Lord, man. UPK shit, man.
She say I'm obnoxious. Say I got way too much confidence. Say it's a problem. All I do is try to pull a woman and say I'm a monster. But really, it ain't nothing. I'm just like my brothers. But shit, you know you look better with me, yeah. Girl, you know you look better with me. How I pull up and then shock. I do my dance on them, what the fuck? How I chill, I run it up. Come and fetch a girl, boy, stop, bitch. Okay, you know you look better with me. I pull up with lines. I'm a judo with a nigga pride. I'm just like a lion. Want my woman cook, clean, fuck, and shut the fuck up, yeah. I got bigger problems to worry about than you in adultery. But shit, you know you ain't going nowhere. Hey, checking my move with the bass. Try to walk to the place. Ice on me, come and skate. You really whole wanna escape. Yeah, we up, face to face. Or outwork me, what you think? Pretty girl, good taste. Wanna know all my traits. You know I'm on attention. I'm James Brown to the Israel. Bullets long, yeah, extensions. The nigga hate what they mention. I pull up how I'm gifted. I'm Mike Jacks with the fist. Beat it like I'm Thriller. She say I'm obnoxious. Say I got way too much confidence. Say it's a problem. All I do is try to pull a woman and say I'm a monster. But really, it ain't nothing. I'm just like my brothers. But shit, you know you look better with me, yeah. Girl, you know you look better with me. How I pull up and then shock. I do my dance on them, what the fuck? How I chill, I run it up. Come and fetch a girl, boy, stop, bitch. Okay, you know you look better with me, bitch, you basic. If you don't want a South Coast nigga, you just a ranking. And really, you ain't even damn exquisite, and bitch, you fake it. Wanna rush a dog sick nigga in the picture I painted. And I mean, everywhere I say T, I give you some flavor. But I guess you ain't even wanna take it, bitch, you outdated. And you done gave it up for some paper, you just like your main man. Start with 3 damn baby daddies, spit what you thinking. You were thinking with your damn bodies, huh? You the type motherfucker wanna pull up, how the fuck when the fuck, huh? Then beat it from the back, no damn attack, it was just for lunch, huh? Dirty damn bot pussy bitch, wanna talk shit on the low, huh? Want this everybody with, cause you don't even know how they say I'm obnoxious. Say I got way too much confidence, say it's a problem. All I do is try to pull a woman and say I'm a monster. But really, it ain't nothing, I'm just like my brothers. But shit, you know you look better with me, yeah. Girl, you know you look better with me. How I pull up and then shock. I do my dance on them, what the fuck? How I chill, I run it up. Come and fetch a girl, boy, stop, bitch. Okay, you know you look better with me, dance. On the low, trying to get right with the preacher, probably on the low, huh? What the fuck you talking about, girl? You already know what the fuck we on, huh? We ain't patting down bitches, but you get right, what you already know, huh? Bitch, you know you look better with me, yeah.
Backstage.
Hey, Trey J, that's hard.
Now you in trouble, playing with my brothers. Fuck around with these bitches, boy, I swear we don't love them. Okay, my tank off and stop. Scheme from my shop. The way I put that G on, but they might give me another. I can't just sit here and fuck it, let alone sit here struggle. I gotta get off my ass, get this paper, know I love my women mad, a soldier. She mad a warrior, preach the prophet, shot, bitch, I'm exploding, let's get stupid, damn, sneaky bitches, no love. Out on all of my channels, my bitch can't see what I'm doing. I make big noise and keep going. To these superstars, I'm out of one. I got big drip, what you call it? Make that money rain like a faucet. All these bitches wanna commit adultery till I pull up and she scoping. High style ass pre does. Once gonna pull it out, even knowing I don't play game with nobody. If she bad, I pull it out. See this cute bitch and she lurking, putting her toes all in the dirt for a nigga. Hey, want me a bit that's tender. Though she read what she saw, deep inside remember. I'm just walking, blood short, with a damn breeze. She talking about what's the move after we started breathing. On the west coast I got it, on the south coast I got it, on the east coast I got it, on the north coast I got it. Everywhere I go I got it. Young niggas just started, bitch. Fuck, now you in trouble. Playing with my brothers. Fuck around with these bitches, boy. I swear we don't love them. Okay, my chain cost a star. Scheme from my shop. The way I put that G on, but they might give me another. I can't just sit here and fuck you, let alone sit here struggle. I gotta get off my ass, get this paper. No, I love my women mad a soldier. She mad a warrior. Preach the prophet, shop bitch, I'm exploding. Let's get it all on me. Put it all on me. Lay it all on me. Put it all on me.
I say put it all on me. 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 And yeah, be safe. The fuck is you won't think that I'm crazy? You're stepping too close to my brother, mine. Adrenaline rising up. Say little nigga, yeah, turn it up. You hang with them niggas, won't get no love. Name is safe and I'm so wrong. See what's up. And we don't man, it's gonna be the reason why you lean down a little bit. And everybody got their trust up in their guns with that shit. Yeah, we really feel the love. We ain't worried about that shit. Yeah, they wish that he could. Yeah, I wish a nigga would. Man, fuck that. We turning up, going all in with this shit. I feel like them niggas don't give a bones at the wall with this shit. We took our oath with this shit. And I'm embedded in this shit. And now I die for this shit. And this that brotherhood. I bite the bullet first pussy. Yeah, hop up in the blend from my brother, yeah. With my brother. Just wanna say no.
Now you in trouble. Playing with my brothers. Fuck around with these bitches, boy. I swear we don't love them. Okay, my chain cost a star. Scheme from my shop. The way I put that G on, but they might give me another one. I can't just sit here and fuck you, let alone sit here and struggle. I gotta get off my ass, get this paper. No, I love my women mad a soldier. She mad a warrior. Preach the prophet, shop bitch, I'm exploding. Let's get it all on me. Put it all on me. Lay it all on me. Put it all on me.
Fake love, real hate.
One West.
Don't be set apart, nigga.
They hate it when you up, but love it when you down. Love you when you dead, but hate you while you living. Only make a mention when it's beneficial. Oh, you can't keep it solid, I ain't fucking with you. Fuck a fake friend, show is over, close the curtain. Told you that they loved you, laughed at you when you was hurting. One thing about that I.S.U.P.K, this brotherhood for certain. Dress you up in all black, gird you up to put that work in. Same niggas that was on the block putting that work in. Abandon that lifestyle, cause now I know my purpose. Coming from a place where a black man life is worthless. 400 plus years, yeah, living out them curses. I blame the so-called leaders in the churches. Was supposed to save our soul, instead they led us to the hearses. Backstabbed and betrayed by the people you would die for. Your family ain't family, so-called friends switch sides on you. Crack and take a knee on your neck, whisper and die, boy. So I stay strapped with the Kaepernick, that's the firearm. Gotta watch your back, you know them demons out here lurking. If I don't know shit, then I know one thing for certain, look. They hate it when you up, but love it when you down. Love you when you dead, but hate you while you living. Only make a mention when it's beneficial. You can't keep it solid, I ain't fucking with you. They hate you when you up, but love it when you down. Love you when you dead, but hate you while you living. Only make a mention when it's beneficial. You can't keep it solid, I ain't fucking with you.
I say fuck the fake love and disloyal behavior. Brotherhood is a weapon, but bitch niggas is contagious. Hating your elevation instead of hitting the pavement. Watching your every move and never give motivation. luxury. I'd rather you keep your distance than be a fuck nigga too close to me. Prefer to fuck with fear niggas than house niggas with notes on me. Get a shirt off my back for devoted niggas with loyalty. I noticed the lack of devoted niggas that's trustworthy if you ain't in no black. Ranked up, I'd give two folks for free. Death before dishonor is a must. It ain't no choice from me. I'm bred different. Was never one to die just bullshit. I'm fed different. Fuck all the information out of pulpits. I'm led different. Been taught to follow a code. Israelite statutes, commandments freely given, never sold, nigga. Chill.
They hate it when you up, but love it when you down. Love you when you dead, but hate you while you living. Only make a mention when it's beneficial. You can't keep it solid, I ain't fucking with you.
Damn right, can't keep it solid, ain't fucking with you. Damn right.
When I saw you winding down, baby, I was like, damn, they must be playing a jam. Then I saw how you was moving it. I had to tap bro like, fam, shawty, there must be a scam. And then I saw what you was drinking on, steady throwing to the early morning time, sipping on Douce. She know she bad and she groovy.
Don't try to play that smooth sexy shit. Nothing wrong with that. You on that King David, I understand. That King David.
I got big rank, you mad, get stained, work hard, then play, bad bitch, my taste, we vibe, we lay, you purple, you gay, delete your ass, lil' fame, I won't walk, not the same, for wrong, these people, I try to tell these motherfuckers time and time, they for wrong, pussy ass, purple ass nigga, man, for wrong, beat your born ass right. Niggas better get their weight up, you little body bitch. Worry about a damn pay cut, you little body bitch. I ain't worried about none of these niggas, little body bitch. You that scare rag, cow ass little body bitch. Had to fuck around, get my rank up, you little body bitch. And I'm pouring up, yeah, young nigga, and I'ma take a sip. Yeah. All these niggas run down, hate, but tell them zip it lip. And you a dumb ass, scare ass boy, little body bitch. Damn. And I ain't worried about nothing, nigga, nah, I ain't worried about shit. I got more than one, so you know nigga don't reminisce. I spit flavors on they damn beats, niggas better catch a pitch. Never knew a goddamn man be scared to represent. But you a whole ass dirt ass little damn body ass nigga. Get body with the damn scripture with your little body ass nigga. Nigga, I'm a true priest, true line nigga, true Zion ass nigga. And you a little boy, little bitch ass, little body ass nigga. Be rank, you mad, get stained, work hard, then play. Bad bitch, my taste, we vibe, we lay, you purple, you gay, you leech ass, lil' fame, I won't walk, got the same, for wrong, I tell them, nigga, for wrong, you get your shit together, nigga, for wrong, work. I'ma do this shit till I rock, you little body bitch. I'ma ditch your ass like your pot, you little body bitch. And I'm smooth with it, y'all zop, you little body bitch. And I switch nigga on that thought, you little body bitch. And I'ma stay turning like the cars, you little body bitch. And I'm stone cold like a bomb, you little body bitch. And I'm a warrior like that bar, you little body bitch. And my aim like that a zop, you little body bitch. Need a princess papa, you little body bitch. Or anyone down the slide, you little body bitch. Yeah. I keep a couple straps in my ride, you little body bitch. Just in case anyone wanna die, cause I'm body bitch. I got be right, you mad, get stained, work hard, then play, bad bitch, my taste, we vibe, we lay, we purple, you gay, you leech ass, lil' fame, I won't walk, not the same, for wrong.
Shalom. That's my joint right there too. But shalom, what's going on? This is the I.S.U.P.K. It started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yahanna. I'm Priest and Officer of 1,000 Recall Ariel, coming to you straight out of Boston, Massachusetts. And today's class is the Brotherhood class. No, today's the law class. Today's Wednesday. It's the law class. But today I'm going to switch it up. We're going to talk about history, which is usually displayed on Monday. But today we're going to talk about some history. I got a book. One of my favorite books. I read this book about 3 or 4 times. I just got the New York version of it. You know what I'm saying? I just got the New York version of it. And I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it. Salakia. We don't have a sign-in sheet on deck. We will have one soon. The waterfall reminded me, says we will have a sign-in sheet soon. But don't worry, you will be reported. You know what I'm saying? I will let the men above you know that you was in class. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Just type in your city and your state inside the chat, and that will confirm it. You know what I'm saying? And today's class, we're going to talk about Massachusetts' pride and its hatred towards Black, Hispanic, and Native people. Massachusetts has an extensive history that it likes to hide. Massachusetts became masterful on hiding its history. It's amazing the way it does it. You know what I'm saying? Massachusetts likes to shove things up under the rug. It's a skill that even I don't understand. But let's get with it. How should I start this? I want to start this off with let's start this off with Obadiah 1 and 3. Let me type it in the chat. Massachusetts is it is a very heavily racist state. It's almost as if you have to be here to see it, because if you're outside of Massachusetts, you won't even know. People don't know it till they come here. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I might start off with 1 and 1. Obadiah is a very small book, but it's a very impactful and powerful book. It is the prophecy of a certain nation that's in the Bible. That prophecy ain't fully coming past yet, but it will. And we're about to read some of it right now, all right? We're going to read from verse 1 to 3. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Like, you got to understand that the world is coming up against Esau. The world is coming up against Edom. The world is coming up against it all. You know what I'm saying? The world is showing its hatred towards Esau. And Esau is about to feel the full wrath of the world's anger towards it. Esau has done everybody on this planet dirty. You know what I'm saying? And this book right here is a vision given to Obadiah about Esau. And we heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Who is the ambassador? Who is the biggest ambassador amongst the heathen? Is Esau. And it said, arise ye, let us rise up against her. Against who? Against that ambassador in battle. The world's going to come up against white people in battle. It's guaranteed. World War III is around the corner. They're going to come up against her. They're getting sick of her trying to run everything, control everything. You know what I'm saying? Put its authority upon everything in its wickedness. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Like, as you can see, America is starting to weaken. America is starting to shrink. America is starting to crumble amongst the heathen. America is not looking as mighty as it used to. America is not looking like it did in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Nah, America is crumbling. And you've seen that today. You've seen that today with that shooting in Georgia. That shooting in Georgia is just a hint of how small America is becoming. When you see what happened on January 6th a couple of years back, it's just a sample on how small America is becoming. This election is just a sign on how small America is becoming. America is becoming small. You know what I'm saying? It's becoming tiny. It's not just America, believe me when I say that. Edom is beyond America. Edom is the UK. Edom is every colonized country that is colonized by Caucasians. And they all are becoming small. All of them are becoming small. They're starting to fight each other. A house divided cannot stand. You know what I'm saying? When you have Russia fighting the Ukraine, they are the same people. They will not stand. And they're trying to come up to America, and they the same people. They will not stand. They will all crumble. You know what I'm saying? Verse 3, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. What is the pride of America's heart? America feels like it will never fall. Caucasians feel like they will never fall. They are on top of the world. They cannot be touched. No matter what they do to us, we could be their punching bags. We could be all that. You know what I'm saying? We could be all that. But they cannot, how may I put it, fathom what is going on within the put like this. Caucasians don't see how much the other people hate them because of their pride. Because of their pride, they feel as if everything is A-OK within their realm. They feel like everything is just okay as it is. They don't have to do nothing. They don't have to fix nothing. They don't have to change nothing. So they do what they do. And that pride is their destruction. That pride is their downfall. Let me continue. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou, though thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? See, they think they are unstoppable. They are asking, who can bring me to the ground? Who can do it? That's what they're asking. Who can bring me to the ground? And that's where their mind is as a nation. Maybe not as individuals. They might have a few individuals. Who cares? But as a nation, make America great again. Who is going to bring America down? That is the question. That's what these elections are about every 4 years. You know what I'm saying? But this book shows you about some of its pride. You know what I'm saying? This book shows you about some of its pride and some of the destruction is about to come to it. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to open up to, this is basically like the, what they call it, like the announcement pages. You know, at the beginning of the books, it's not quite the first chapter, but right before it, the intro. And I'm going to read like a page and a half of it so y'all can understand the history that we are about to get into. You know what I'm saying? Since this is called the cradle of liberty. That's what Massachusetts was called. That's what New England in the whole was called the cradle of liberty. Now let's look at what cradle of liberty actually is. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what that actually is. Liberty. Now, equality or state of being free. The power to do as one pleases. Freedom from physical restraint. Freedom from arbitrary and despotic control. The positive enjoyment of various social, political, or economic rights and privileges. The power of choice. The right of definition 2A. A right of immunity enjoyed by prescription or by grant privilege. Permission, especially to go freely within specified limits. That's not too free, if you ask me. If you're going to specify a limit, your freedom is restricted. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of definitions towards freedom, but the most recent one is always the first definition. See, what you got to understand when it comes to definitions, the first one is the most recent. And the most recent is the quality or state of being free. Massachusetts and New England is the quality and state of being free. The power to do as one pleases. That is something that you just don't see. We don't see that. I mean, people can't even go to school anymore freely. You get school shot up. Where's the freedom in that? You know what I'm saying? In Massachusetts alone, a black man can't, open up a business anywhere he has the opportunity to do so. No. You got to go through commissions, group meetings, and all this extra stuff, jump through all types of loopholes. You just can't rent a spot and open up shop. You can't do that in Massachusetts. The prologue, you're absolutely right, sis. That's what the beginning was called, the prologue. You can't absolutely open up shop in Massachusetts. You can't, no Black, Hispanic, and Native person is free in Massachusetts. Let's continue reading. There is a greater portion of misery condensed within a smaller space than had ever existed in the known world. Lord Grenville on the New England slave trade. That's what Lord Grenville, which is a Caucasian man, what you call him, abolitionist, you know what I'm saying, a slave abolitionist. He wanted to get rid of slavery. And he said there is a greater portion of misery condensed within a smaller space than had ever existed in the known world. And he was talking about New England as a whole, not just America, just New England. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Since the arrival of the Pilgrims in 1620, Massachusetts has claimed to be the enlightened moral center of the New World. After all, it is claimed the rudiment of democracy and the doctrine of religious liberty developed on her shores 383 years ago. Moreover, that's how long ago this book was written, because it's been longer than 383 years. Moreover, many Americans will claim today that Black slavery was a Southern enterprise and never occurred in the North. Indeed, they will be ashamedly maintain that some Blacks in colonial times were free to enjoy the benefits of liberty, just like the founding fathers, in that Northern whites abhorred the slave system and fought for Blacks to win their freedom. Massachusetts is foremost in perpetrating this ludicrous historical fraud. Massachusetts is known to promote that. Like, not everybody in the North was slaves. There's a lot of free Black people in Massachusetts. You know what I'm saying? Even some, you'll hear this a lot. Even some Black people had slaves. You will hear this a lot in Massachusetts. Because you know what they're doing? They're diverting your attention from them. They're changing the subject from them. You know what I'm saying? But deep within the historical record is another story altogether. The early Bay State settlers talked of freedom, but led the nation by example in their cruel genocide of the red man. The legislator of the Massachusetts colony was the first to welcome officially the African slave trade. See, Massachusetts was the first place where the African slave trade started. What I mean by African, I'm talking about us Negroes. I'm not talking about the Hamites that actually sold us to white people. I'm talking about those who actually was enslaved in America. Now, Massachusetts was one of the first stops. We were the first to welcome it, first to accept it, first to write it into law as it is acceptable. And you know what I'm saying? Massachusetts has its history with slavery, you know? Let's continue. In fact, many proper Bostonians built their fortunes upon the despicable enterprise. Like many of the notable, rich, wealthy, famous people from Massachusetts and Boston and all over. Hell, you don't even have to be from Massachusetts. If you was a racist and a slave owner, you might have got something named after you. You might have got a little notoriety and something named after you. You don't even have to be born or raised in Massachusetts. And we're going to hear about that soon, too. Massachusetts became America's leading slave ship builder. They were building slave ships in Massachusetts. And we do have places today that still make slave ships. They're probably the same places that made the slave ships back then. You know what I'm saying? They probably still exist. The families are probably still making money and everything. Let's continue. And sent one expedition after another into Africa to rape, pillage, and plunder her black humanity. In one slave expedition originating in Massachusetts, 100 Africans were murdered by Boston merchants on African soil, and a Medford merchant murdered 26 Africans on a voyage to the Caribbean, which is another point I want to bring up because a lot of these people that claim to be FBA, they represent that FBA, that foundational Black America nonsense. And they seem to forget a very important point. Just because you're in the Caribbean doesn't mean you started off in the Caribbean. Just because they in the Caribbean don't mean they started off in the Caribbean. Some people that were slaves in America were shipped to continue their slavery in the Caribbean. So you want to differentiate your slave history from the Caribbean, from South America, from everywhere else, not knowing that y'all are the same. Y'all suffered the same thing. That's that division that FBA is putting upon us, that it started from our oppressor. And where FBI can prove how it started with our oppressor, because FBA is an extension of this group called ADOS, which is African Descendants of Slavery, which started from this so-called Black and Jewish woman named Yvette Carmichael or Carmel or something like that. I believe it was Carmichael, Yvette Carmichael. She is actually a Jewish woman. Her father is a Jewish man, her mother is Black. And she started this ADO stuff, which is the progenitor of FBA. They have the same talking points and everything. They just separated because Tariq Nasheed and her had a disagreement. What the disagreement was, nobody knows. But they had a disagreement, and now they are two separate groups, but they have the same ideology. And they both speak in nonsense. But yes, Ado started off from a white woman, and it splintered off into another cell, which is directed from Tariq Nasheed, which is a black man, but his ideologies is still from a white woman. You know what I'm saying? This is divisive. This is the same thing that's been going on through history. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. You know what I'm saying? Gangs of chained Africans were landed on the docks of Boston and Salem by white Massachusetts merchants and announced alongside hogs, lumber, cask of cheese, destined for a life of hopeless bondage, laboring without wages under the stinging whip of the white colonists. We were sold along with pigs, lumber, and cheese. Like, for example, FBA is Foundational Black Americans. It's a group that Tariq Nasheed made. And we were sold alongside with hogs. See, what a lot of people don't understand, pigs and pork altogether is not native to this country. It was brought here from Europe, brought here from Africa. Our so-called Southern and Central American people is not, I mean, they are heavy into pork. They love pork today. But this wasn't something they were eating before Columbus came around, because pork wasn't in this country before Columbus came around. Pigs are not native to this country at all. Hogs are not native to this country. None of them are native to here. But they forced their culture on us, and now South and Central American, they literally love pork more than they love their mama. Hell, black people, we love pork more than we love our mama. We will fight for that pork. You tell somebody that pork is wrong, it is an argument all day long. But let's continue. I'm diverting. Even Peter Faneuil, the man who gave Boston the Great Hall of Liberty, owned a slave ship and kept black Africans as slaves. Let me tell you about Faneuil. We have a area in downtown Boston called Faneuil Hall, which is where the Hall of Liberty is till this day. It still stands. And that actually used to be a port in an auction block. Faneuil Hall used to actually be an auction block, and it still stands today. Black people come from all around the country to come and chill and hang out in Faneuil Hall, not knowing that your ancestors were put on an auction block, sold, split up, and everything else. I mean, so many of us fought to have Dudley Square, which is open racist. We might, read into him, might get to him. But so many of us fought to have Dudley Square changed to Nubian Square. Why Nubian? Because we think we're Nubians. We think we're African. So it was changed to Nubian Square. And we fought that far. And now a lot of people are going to forget about how Massachusetts was racist and how Dudley was a racist bastard. But we still have Faneuil Hall. And nobody's fighting to get that changed. Nobody's arguing about that. Know why? Because we pick our fights, and they're mostly picked around election seasons, and they are mostly given to us by our oppressor. Our oppressor tells us what nobody cared about Dudley being called after me. We always said down Dudley. We go to Dudley Square, Dudley. Yeah, nobody even cared. Not saying that we shouldn't, but our master is picking our fights. Why are we fighting for Dudley to get changed when there's so much more in the same barracks to get changed? And we're going to read about so many more things that need to be changed. And this is just a small sample, but let's continue. When a white man died, he simply passed on the Africans he enslaved to his survivors. See, we were inherited. A lot of us were property that was inherited to the sons and daughters of our slave masters. Let's continue. Who dutifully maintained the cycle of oppression and racial hatred. Many of the children of Massachusetts merchants still live on the dividends of the stolen profits and wages due to Black racists. A lot of them live on. See, that's what we call white privilege. But a lot of them will deny that this even exists. A lot of them won't even admit that they benefit off of the work and the enslavement of our people. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Today, the legacy of the Massachusetts Commonwealth hidden past is broadcasted. Listen, a lot of this hidden racist legacy is broadcasted, announced loudly and proudly in the names of her landmarks, schools, town squares, and streets, and in the celebrations of her founders. For example, the town of Amherst. For example, Amherst is it's just a town. It's not a city. It's just a town. But guess what's in this town? The University of Massachusetts main campus is in Amherst. You know what I'm saying? The University of Massachusetts main campus is in Amherst. They got like 4 campuses throughout the state. The main one is in Amherst. Amherst is an important dude. He had a whole town named after him. You know what I'm saying? And let's see what it says about him. No, let's continue. For instance, is named for Sir Jeffrey Amherst, the Adolf Hitler to the Indians of the 18th century. Amherst was the Adolf Hitler to the natives. And we're going to talk about it a bit. We're going to spin the block. We're going to get into a news article about it. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's not even a news article. It's more of a campus paper. And it's written, as you can see, is a paper in UMass. So this ain't my writings. This is somebody else's writings. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know who Colonel Henry Bouquet to General Amherst said, every tree is become an Indian. Meaning that's how many Indians they killed. And I don't know what it means. Some weird, cryptic, Edomite stuff to say. But Lord Jeffrey Amherst was commanding general of British forces in North America during the final battles of the so-called French and Indian Wars from 1754 to 1763, a 9-year war. He won victories against the French to conquer Canada for England and help make England the world's chief colonizer at the conclusion of the 7-Year War among the colonial powers. The town of Amherst, Massachusetts was named for Lord Jeff, even before he became a lord. So Amherst Massachusetts named a city after him before he even became a lord of England. Mind you, he wasn't born or raised in Massachusetts. He is a British soldier. Amherst College was later named after the town. It is said the local inhabitants who formed the town preferred another name, Noatuk, after the Indians whose land it had been. So they wanted, the people who were living there wanted to name it after the natives that were murdered there, whose land it had been. The colonial governor substituted his choice for theirs. Frank Prentice Rand, in his book, The Village of Amherst, A Landmark of Light, says that the time of the naming, Amherst was the most glamorous military hero in the New World. The name was so obvious in 1759 as to be almost inevitable. Amherst College trustees voted, blah, blah, blah. That's not the part I wanted to get to. Smallpox, blankets. Now, we all know about smallpox, and this war tactic is what makes him so famous. Despite his fame, Jeffrey Amherst's name became tarnished by stories of smallpox-infected blankets used as germ warfare against American Indians. These stories are reported, for example, in Carl Waldman's Atlas of the North American Indians. Waldman writes in reference to a siege of Fort Pittsburgh by Chief Pontiac forces during the summer of 1763. Captain Simeon Ecuyer, I don't know how to pronounce that name, had brought time by sending smallpox-infected blankets and handkerchiefs to the Indians surrounding the fort. An early example of biological warfare, which started an epidemic among them. Amherst himself had encouraged this tactic in a letter to whatever that dude's name is. Some people have doubted these stories. Other people believe in the stories, nevertheless asserted that the infected blankets were not intentionally distributed. Yeah, right. We all know they were intentionally distributed. Or that Lord Jeff himself is not to blame for the germ warfare tactic. He is definitely to blame. He fought in the Pontiac War. He even fought in the war against the natives in New England. This man had a history. This man was around. This man was around the block. He killed a lot of people. Oh, we about to get into that too. We know Thanksgiving was a sham. We about to get into that. Matter of fact, let's get into that. But hold on, let me continue reading. Captain John Codman of Dorchester's Common Square. Family was killed by the very Negroes he enslaved in his home. Like John Codman he's famous. We have a whole square called Common Square, which is a black neighborhood in Boston. Common Square full of black people. And it's funny because guess who killed Codman? Guess who killed Codman? His slaves. And they poisoned him. And the woman that poisoned him, she was a very famous poet. Her name was Phyllis, I forgot. You can look it up. But it was Phyllis something. She was a poet. She wrote poems. She was literally the first black female poet published in America. And she killed her slave master with poison. Allegedly. Because this justice system's full of crap. But she was convicted of it. She was definitely convicted of it. You know what I'm saying? But let's get Let's get into some of the BS, because America definitely shows its pride and its hatred towards us. And I'm going to show you one example of that. This is Death in New England, King Philip's War. Now, what you need to understand is King Philip's War is, truthfully, is what Thanksgiving is based off of. King Philip's War is basically a war between the colonizers and the natives. And we had some, traders in our midst and everything else to help them. But when they celebrated their victories over the natives, they would call that Thanksgiving. They were giving thanks to their white God, to their Caesar Borgia, to that picture that's over your grandmama's wall for killing the natives. That's what you celebrate every year in November. You celebrate the death of the natives. You know what I'm saying? Which is absolutely a disgusting thing for us to do. You know what I'm saying? But let's get with it. Death in New England, King Philip's War. King Philip is not actually his name. His name is actually Metacom. But let's get with it. In the late 1600s, disease, religious pressure, and expansion led to a dramatic bloodshed in the oft-forgotten King Philip War between English settlers and indigenous population. Conflict between Native Americans and European settlers over the centuries is no secret. Often the focus of study and remembrance on these conflicts often target the 19th century, when resettlement and war were commonplace, often overlooked but essential to the country's development are the earlier bloody struggles that make up King Philip's War that is now New England. This is how New England came about, y'all. The background map, this is where a lot of the things starting off with the Wampanoags, because the Wampanoag, that's the tribe that King Philip, aka Metacom, that's the tribe that he was the head of. You know what I'm saying? Which is most of the Cape Cod and Rhode Island, right? When English colonists known as Pilgrims arrived in New England in 1620, they were setting foot on land that the Wampanoag people had occupied for over 1,200 years. The Wampanoags are a confederation of Native American tribes that worked together throughout history in a military and governmental fashion while still maintaining sovereignty. See, people thought that they were savages. They had a government, they had a military. They weren't savages. They were very educated and civilized people. Before the landing of the Mayflower, they had various interactions with temporary European settlements, explorers and fishermen. For example, a lot of Scandinavians, came there before, Amerigo Vespucci, before Christopher Columbus. A lot of Scandinavians did, sail there. There's historic proof about that. A lot of so-called Negroes sailed there. So-called Africans sailed there. Columbus wasn't first to discover this. He was first to discover it for the European people. Scandinavians, aka Vikings, was here long ago. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Some of these visits were peaceful, while other cases have resulted in skirmishes and Wampanoag people, such as a young man named Tesquantum, which is a very important name. Everybody calls him Squantum, but this is his full name, Tesquantum, better known today as Squanto, being taken into slavery. See, a lot of people don't understand how Native Americans were slaves. They were taken into slavery too. The FBA cats won't understand that. But the Native Americans were slaves too. It's just that they were taken into slavery into Europe. They were taken into slavery into Africa. They were taken into slavery into South America. They even served slavery in America. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Being taken into slavery and transported to Europe, the great deal of the native population was killed by European diseases to which they had no immunity because Europeans are nasty. They are disgusting people, including a great epidemic between 1616 and 1619 known as the Great Dying. I urge you to look that up. But this type of behavior is what makes them feel okay to do what they do. When the Mayflower arrived, the English people around were strangers in a strange land. They had limited resources and knowledge and thus were at a disadvantage. Rather than take advantage of the situation, the Wampanoag Succumb, which is like their leader, or inter-tribal leader, a Summicwan, also known as Massasoit, which is very important because that's what the state is named after. The state is named after this man, offered an intente to the group. I don't know what intente means, so let's look it up. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. All right, give me a sec. Bear with me. Bear with me. All right, an international understanding providing for a common course of action, a coalition of parties to an entente. So basically, it's a coalition. It's a bunch of people agreeing to something, right? Let's continue. To the group, Massasoit of the Paquanot, Pequot, that's what we know them as, the Pequots, not only wanted to prevent unnecessary conflict with the new visitors, but wanted allies against the Wampanoag long-held enemies, the Narragansetts. So even though there's internal beef, it seems like, Massasoit wanted to, how may I put it, make alliances with our enemies. What he should have did is make alliance with the Narragansetts. But peace between the Wampanoags and Pilgrims held for approximately 50 years. Though it was constantly tested, tensions constantly were rising from the Englishmen's land expansion beyond their original dwellings, the Plymouths and their exploitation of local resources. See, you give them an inch, he takes a mile. That's what he does. You give him an inch, he takes a mile. Who was King Philip? Massasoit had 2 sons. All right, this is the important part. Massasoit had 2 sons. Wamsuta, known to the English as Alexander, and Metacom, or Metacom, who they end up calling King Philip. So Massasoit had 2 sons. You know what I'm saying? Let's see, because Massasoit, he was obviously Massasoit was obviously let me say it politically as possible. He was a diplomat. He wanted to have peace with his enemies while he waged war on his brothers. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Put it like this: Massasoit was a sellout. I want to call it as it is. He was a sellout. All right. Upon Massasoit's death in 1661, Wamsuta took his place as Senko. Unfortunately, Wamsuta's reign would be short-lived during a parley with the English in which he was questioned about a plot against the colonists. Like, I know a little more because I read deeply into this. Basically, there was a native who was like a Catholic priest or a pilgrim or something like that. He basically integrated into the European ways. And he overheard a conversation that Wamsuta was having with some brothers about getting some land back. And he reported them. Now Wamsuta had to die because, that's our problem with our people. We have a bunch of rats and snitches. You know what I'm saying? But he actually never actually died from his what's name, but a lot of wars broke out. They wanted to kill Wamsuta. They wanted to kill him badly, but hold on. During a parley with the English in which he was questioned about a plot against the colonists, Wamsuta fell ill. Not long after returning home, he died. Metacom, which is his younger brother, became the head of the tribes, believed his brother had been poisoned by the English, which is highly possible. Highly possible. You know what I'm saying? Metacom quickly stepped up to the plate as Sankum and continued ongoing negotiations for land, use, and peace with the English. So he started, being diplomatic. He's trying to continue his father's legacy of trying to, have peace with these devils. You know what I'm saying? However, he was faced with many challenges in addition to land exploitation and expansion by the English. Metacom watched some of his people and those of other local tribes become praying Indians, converting to Christianity, right? That's what a praying Indian is an Indian that becomes a Christian, which is something that you should look lowly on, which is something that you should look down upon. You know what I'm saying? Adopt English culture and settle in missionary villages. On occasion, these praying Indians would serve as go-betweens, providing the English with information about what was going on in the native villages, which is basically more rats, more rats. And here's one dude, Sansamon. Oh man, yeah. One of the individuals was a man from the Massachusetts tribe named John Sansamon, who had been Harvard educated. Oh man, you know how we feel when we're Harvard educated. Harvard educated blacks is on top of the world. Harvard educated natives is on top of the world. Harvard educated Hispanics, man, you can't say nothing about them. They are the example of Black, Hispanic, and Native excellence. But they are the weakest of our people. Educated and converted to Puritanism. He helped establish one of the praying towns at Natick and often served as an interpreter between Metacom and the English. He would come to play an even greater role as Metacom's frustrations with the English increased and infringement upon the native lands continued. Always remember that. The death of Sassamon and the birth of war. This is long. I want to drop down to the death. Y'all can peep it because this war goes long. This war is extensive. This war was bloody, and the natives on the New England side were not chumps. They were not chumps. I want to go to the death of Metacom. I'm gonna go to the death of Metacom. Where that at? It's coming up. It's coming up. This is it. When the population rates are considered, King Philip War can be counted as the bloodiest conflict in America's history. Over 2,500 English settlers were killed, which equates to about 30% of the population. It is estimated that about twice as many natives, combatants, and civilians were killed. See, there's so many killed. All they could do is estimate. They can't even know for certain. They knew for a fact it was over 2,500 for them, but for the natives, it's an estimate. It's just an estimate. Oh man, they don't got the death of Metacom. Okay, here they go. Here they go. I passed it. I passed it. Okay, I'm gonna start somewhere here. All right. However, Church would find himself fighting his former friend temporarily as she joined Metacom forces, though she would later side with the English near the end of the conflict. Regardless, his familiarity, message of that, don't trust these bitches. I mean, these women. They switch sides. Regardless, his familiarity with natives' tactics and cultures would aid him in tracking and fighting Metacom forces. On August 12, 1676, Church's group cornered Metacom and on Mount Hope, and John Alderman, a praying Indian, fired the fatal shot that killed Metacom, ending not only the Sakem's life, but King Philip's war. After Metacom's death, he was beheaded. His body was drawn and quartered. His head was displayed on a pike outside of the town of Plymouth for over 2 decades, for over 2 years. For over 2 years, his head was on a pike. Let's get to that. Let's go into hold on a second. Let me get it. Give me a second. Let's go to Obadiah 1 and 10. Let's go to Obadiah 1 and 10. Because if you know anything, Edomites are twin brothers. Esau was a twin brother to Jacob. So remember, Obadiah was a prophecy towards Jacob. Towards Esau. And for thy violence, Obadiah chapter 1, verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. Look, it was very shameful for them to do that. For them to take over that land, for them to raise the war, for them to kill so many people, for them to draw and quarter a man. Esau is a sick man. He is a sick man. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Look, sooner or later, they ain't going to exist. They ain't even going to matter. Their whole existence is going to be for naught. Straight up and down, their whole existence is going to be for naught. You know what I'm saying? And not just that, you got to understand that the Most High don't respect their ways and tactics. You know what I'm saying? Most High don't respect it. You know what I'm saying? Let me find another scripture for you. Let me find another one for you. All right, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a profane person? What does it mean to be a profane person? Because Esau was about as profane as it got, man. Let's look it up. Because this is definitely a verb. This is definitely a verb. Let me share the screen so y'all can read along with me. All right. Press share. All right, profane. Definition 1 out of 2. To treat something sacred with abuse, irreverence, or contempt. That means he don't respect what God put down, which is why he stole his birthright. To debase by a wrong, unworthy, or vulgar use. That's what a profane person is. Not only because, no, that's an adjective. That's not you would write with verb. You know what I'm saying? But that's what a profane person is. He don't care about, it's like obscene. He's very obscene. He's very profane. He's very vulgar. He's not what we should try to be like. That's why who would think of putting a horse on each limb? You take 4 horses and you put 4 horses on each limb of a person and have those horses going 4 different directions. Who would think of that? If we was really his brother, that thought would never come across his mind. That's why he is obscene. That's why he is profane. That thought would have never crossed his mind. I would have never thought of that. Just an evil person, straight up and down. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue with it. Who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For a morsel of meat sold his birthright. If you're familiar with the story in Genesis 25, he thought he was dying. The man put in a little bit of work and he could have sworn he was dying, so he begged his brother for a little bit of what's the name. And brother like, yo, what you gonna give me for this? Just conducting business. A lot of y'all out there think it's evil for him to do that. That's on y'all. I don't see where it is evil. But to me, it sounds like good business. What you gonna give to me? You like whatever you want. As a second child, what does a second child want more than anything? He wants the inheritance of the first child. So he said, put your birthright up for a piece of meat that wasn't even fully cooked. It was bloody and everything. And he did it. That is a profane person because he didn't even care about his birthright. What was his birthright? His birthright was the covenant of Abraham and Isaac, which was supposed to go to Esau, but it went to Jacob because Esau sold it. But not just that, it was also prophesied that it would happen. So if his birthright meant nothing to him, he's a profane person. What is his birthright? His birthright is that covenant. What is that covenant? The covenant is the Most High. It's His law, statutes, commandments. It is Him. You didn't give a damn about the Most High. Imagine selling the Most High just for a steak. Not even a steak, just for a morsel of it, just for a piece of steak. How profane would that be? It was a morsel of meat, but yeah, there might have been red lentils in it. I haven't seen a scripture that said red lentils, but I know it said red pottage. Morsel of meat and red pottage. I don't know about the lentils. It probably did. But at the same time, I don't care what's in it. Can't be that delicious. They could have had all the delicious meats and cheeses and beans and vegetables. And you're profane if you thought that would be worth giving up your birthright. In his pride, Even back then, his pride thought it was okay because what did Esau do? He still try to renege on that. Esau is the renegger of, I ain't gonna say it, I ain't gonna try to get it, but he reneged on it. He reneged on it, and he wants, how may I put it? He thought he was wronged by it. His pride made him think he was wronged by giving it up, which is why he does the thing he does to blacks, Hispanics, and natives. That's why he does it. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to Romans 9 and 13. Let's go to Romans 9 and 13. Let me type it up in there. I already missed one. I forgot to type in one. Let me type in the first one first. Hebrews 12. In fact, did I even read 17 now? Think about it. No, I did not. Let's continue. For ye know that afterwards, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. So even knowing that you would be rejected, he still went to he still went to try to get it. He still tried to renege, basically, right? He was rejected, for he found no place of repentance. You can't repent from that. You cannot repent from that. You were stuck there. You know what I'm saying? You were absolutely stuck there. Though he sought it, even though he sought it carefully with tears, like he cried for it. You know what I'm saying? He cried for it. But you can't repent from that. You already lost. You made your deal. You lived. You lived. But let's go to Romans 9. And 13. Romans chapter 9, verse 13. As it is written. What does it mean as it is written? That means that this was written in the Old Testament. This ain't his words. This is something that is known. This is something that has been discussed. This is something that's passed down verbally from generation to generation. This is not nothing new. This is something known, right? As it is written. It was written back in Malachi. Malachi 1 and 3, I believe. 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. Right? As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. He loved Jacob. He loved Israel. He loved Black, Hispanic, and Native people. Why? I don't know. We hard-headed, stiff-necked, stubborn, don't do, like we break the law. But he hated Esau. I mean, we might break the law, but it's different from breaking the law and, you know what I'm saying, just disowning your father. Esau disowned his father, gave his father up, sold him for a piece of meat. All we do is just be, rebellious and stiff-necked and stubborn, which we deserve everything we get after that. But it's different. Imagine your child you go into your child's school and your child just completely ignores your existence and pretends like you're not even there at all. Like you're not their mother, you're not their father. Like you're not there. They just reject you and just try to hide from you. You're looking for them. You're trying to pick them up from school to do whatever, but too many people around. You embarrass them. They want nothing to do with you. They don't find no value in you. That's what Esau did. which will hurt a parent more than more than a child just coming home late. It will hurt a parent way more. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go to 2 more scriptures before I end the class. Let's go to Jeremiah 49:16. All right, bear with me as I get there with y'all. Jeremiah 49:16. Should I start up higher? Just to put it in perspective on how this is the same prophecy that Obadiah was talking about, I want to start at 15. No, let's start at 14, because you got to remember Jeremiah and Obadiah were part of the same crew. They were part of the same camp as some of you individualites would like to believe. But let's hear it. Verse 14, I have heard a rumor from the Lord. An ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come against her, and rise up to the battle. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and despised among men. Isn't that the same thing that was said in Obadiah 1? For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. The terribleness hath deceived thee. Their terribleness, the way they behave, the way they act is terrible, and it deceives them. They think it's giving them power. They think nobody can stop them. They think they are untouchable, right? In the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rocks, that holdest the height of the hill, though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. The Most High is going to bring them down. This Third World War is getting hot. And while y'all out there worried about little things like this vote in, like reparations, like whatever your little tiny worries are, whatever your little minor problems are. Like I got my worries, rent is an issue, slavery is an issue, but guess what? I can't let it slow me down from doing this work, because it's getting hot, and we are nigh until the end. We are almost at the end. And you're going to let your little worries slow you down. Like, I don't understand how all this thing that's coming out, I don't understand how motherfuckers can fall out now. I don't understand how you can fall out. I'm slacking for my language. When I get too comfortable, I start swinging. But slacking for my language. But I don't understand how a person can fall out of this. Fall out of this truth, fall out of this knowledge. Knowing what they know. Going through what they're going through. I don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? It's high time. Gird up your loins. It's getting serious out there. You know what I'm saying? It's getting serious about as hell. And the Lord's going to bring this country and our enemies down. But you're worried about the wrong things. Let's continue. Also, Edom shall be a desolation. Everything that everywhere Edom dwells is going to be a desolation. America is going to be desolate. The amount of nuclear bombs that might hit this land is going to make it desolate. Nothing will be able to survive. This land will be completely inhabitable. Water filled with radiation, if there's any water to be found. land filled with radiation, air filled with radiation, you're just can't survive here. Won't be able to survive. Let's continue. Everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at her, all the plagues thereof. And everybody's going to see it. Everybody's going to see it. Everybody's going to hiss at it. Y'all know what that hissing is. Throw our nose up to it. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna recognize the plagues of it, the ugliness of it, and may it no longer continue. And may it no longer continue. And let's finish off with 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha. And if you don't know about the Apocrypha, it is a set of books that was taken out of the Bible by the Roman Catholic Church, which shows a certain history of time. You know what I'm saying? It shows a certain history of time, which you can't find in the scriptures that you see in your everyday church. And the Apocrypha shows that period, which is known as the Greek period. If you read your Bible, it just skips right over to the Roman period. But there's something that happened before the Roman period, which is the Greek period. And in the Greek period, that's where the Apocrypha is at. So understand, the Bible is a history book. It's not a religious document. It's actually a history book. And it's a cultural reference for the people that it was written for. But let's get with it, right? Oh yeah, I wrote it, didn't go to it. My bad. 2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world. Whoa. Esau is the end of the world. Let me give you a little understanding. Back in Genesis 25, the prophecy said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Let's understand this prophecy a little better. Let's go up a verse. Let's go up to verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Like, we understand that. So Esau was born first. Jacob was holding on tight. They were fighting in the womb. Remember that? They were fighting, but Jacob didn't want to finish fighting. So he held on to his heel. And you're going to drag him out, drag me out too, because we still got problems. You know what I'm saying? For the Esau is the end of the world. First shall be last, last shall be first. Esau is the end of this world. So if you don't believe the white man who is currently in control, you don't believe he is Esau, then this ain't the end. We are far from where we need to be. We are far from it. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. We are the beginning of another world. See, a lot of y'all like to believe world means everybody. But no, world means society. Ain't like we're going to start a whole new planet. I know somebody going to start a religion on that. But ain't like we starting a whole new planet. No. We start a whole new society. Whole new way of life. Well, I never tapped it in. That's what we're doing. That's what we're supposed to do. But yo, I want to end this class right now. Remember, pay your tithes, pay your tithes. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to be a trooper in the school, get an all black, black shirt, black pants, black headband, black scarf, black boots. You know what I'm saying? And make your check-ins every Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Make your check-ins every Wednesday. If you got an interest in a certain brother or sister, you know what I'm saying? You got to wait 6 months for that new brother or sister to change their life. Let them change their life. Let them stop all the drugs they doing. Let them stop all the drinking they doing. Let them get their life together. Just like you had a chance to get yours together. And once they do, they get that Hebrew name. They could put in a reference request for courtship to a certain brother or sister, or you could put in a request for courtship to a certain brother or sister. And then once y'all get into that courtship and y'all decide to marry, that's another request that has to be made to that sister's head. You know what I'm saying? Or to that brother's head. And with that, don't forget, we got I believe the Southern Cookout's coming up next. You know what I'm saying? I believe they headed up to Houston. It's heading out to Houston this year. You know what I'm saying? So get prepared for that. And don't forget, Passover's coming up too, so y'all prepare for that. And with that, shalom.